Okay, peeps, welcome back. So today we're going to be going over the Bitcoin miner stocks and how they're still cheap and still at major support zones that you can buy out right now if you want to. Let's get it. So the first miner stock that we're going to look at today is BTBT. Just so y'all know, BTBT CIFR, I believe BITF, I'll have to double check on this one, and HUD8 are the smaller of the miner stocks. RIOT and Mara are the bigger ones. Why do I bring this up? Because the smaller the market cap of a particular stock, the greater the potential move, as we'll show you in this video. So if you want to make more gains, obviously the smaller the market cap, the potentially larger the gains. The larger the market cap, the smaller the potential gains. Okay? So taking a look at BTBT, as you guys can see, it is not quite on the macro support zone. However, something I wanted to point out to you guys is we do have a death cross here on the MACD. Although I don't think that really means much of anything this time around, and I'm going to tell you guys why. So if you look at this previous death cross here that we had back here, you guys can see that the RSI was pretty overbought here, more so than it was on this dump. And we chopped around in the zone for almost 2 months straight before selling off. And the MACD was well over the break-even level, so that was a clear sell-off incoming. Whereas this one, excuse me, whereas this one was just a straight shot down. We didn't spend weeks up there. We spent like a week and a half up there, and it just absolutely dumped. And the MACD is only slightly above the break-even level right now, which tells me that this might potentially be a fake out if we can get back above these EMAs. I think that these prices are going to move higher. Of course, we have the Fed FOMC meeting looming tomorrow. Okay, I believe that's like 11 or 11:30 a.m. West Coast time. If you're on the East Coast, it would be roughly around 2:30 in the afternoon. That could change everything in the markets. We'll just have to wait and see. They could cut tomorrow, but I don't think it's going to happen. So anyways, currently sitting at the EMAs, prices are still pretty cheap, I would say. I mean, you still got your macro support, so that's between 150 to roughly about $2 a share, and the resistance between 414 all the way up to roughly about 5.25. But if we measure this from where it currently is, you guys can see you would make roughly around 70 to 83% as of currently. Now, if you manage to get your price all the way down here, then, well, obviously the move would be much bigger in the immediate short term, roughly about 170 to 197%. So I think BTBT is going to have a quick turnaround, but we'll just have to wait and see. Cypher is not really doing much here. It's kind of just chopping around. Usually when you see the EMAs going sideways like this indicates indecision, whereas you see the EMAs here going up, that indicates a clear trend. So we're not in a trend on Cypher. We're just kind of chopping around. But I would say that price is still pretty cheap. We're still bullish on the indicators here, although we did have death crosses. So that's also a very clear sign of indecision. I would say for this position, we're basically just DCing in because we don't really know what it's going to do at this point. If we get a break back above the EMAs, pretty clear signal that we're going to go up. But it's just a matter of whether that's going to happen or not because we have 3 days left on the week. So we'll just have to wait and see. But your support is between 225 to 268. Of course, you could buy at the EMAs, which is what we're doing. So that's between 290 to roughly about 315 a share. And your resistance is going to be between 506 to roughly about 560 a share. So from the current price, if you got up to the resistance, you'd be looking at somewhere between 76 to 83%. If you manage to get your price down into the zone somehow, which could happen, I mean, if it stays down there long enough, you could get those prices. It'd be about 119 to 130%. Just so you guys know, when we do actual swing trades, the positions we're in right now in these minor stocks are not really swing trades per se. They're more position trading or position investing. But we usually only look for about a 15% gain per trade. So if you manage to pull off like an 80 or 100, 130%, that's basically a home run when it comes to swing trading. So do keep that in mind when looking at these. So the next one is HUD8. As you guys can see, we are still very clearly in the support zone here. This is a macro support. We can go all the way back here to 2022. You see that this is very clearly support. And then you have your resistance here. So we are in the box, which means that, in my opinion, not financial advice, but now is the time to be loading the boat on HUD 8. Could it go lower? I mean, yeah, I suppose so. But I think if HUD 8 was going to go lower than it has already, there's only one thing that could do that, and that is the Fed cutting rates and the yield curve uninverting, and then the market's dumping. Whether that's going to happen or not, that's kind of a coin flip at this point. Some people think that when the yield curve uninverts, markets are going to dump by like 20, 30, 40%. We think it's not because it's already priced in, but we'll just have to wait and see. But outside of that, I just do not see the price going back down below this. Of course, that's not a guarantee, but keep in mind, this is a big range. So it's roughly about $3.80 a share to $9. That's a pretty large range in and of itself. So it's under the EMAs. We are in the bear territory here on the other indicators. We had a golden cross back here, but this was obviously a fake out, as you guys can see. Price went back up, got shot back down. Now we're in what a lot of position traders would be considered to be a golden opportunity position trade right here. So if you manage to get it at these prices, you're looking anywhere from 94% to almost 156%. That's really good. If you manage to get your average cost somewhere down here in the middle of this zone, potentially as much as 290%. So that's a really, really, really good profit right there, if you ask me. So RIOT, very similar. Kind of a bit of indecision here. You guys can see the EMAs are going up, but then they kind of chop sideways, going up, kind of chopping sideways. So we're very clearly still stuck in this range here, which means that there is still opportunity to buy. Because if we get a close above this range or any of these resistance ranges, then bets might be off for loading the boat on these stocks. And that's when the retail traders, the people that are trying to get on the gravy train and FOMO in at the last minute because the media is talking about it, could be potentially push into a blow off top. And you guys can do what you want, but we don't really like to what is the term that we use? We don't really like to chase the rally or FOMO in at the top, if you know what I mean. Because if you buy at the top and you get dumped on, well, really only have yourself to blame on that. So but to each their own, do what you think is best. If you want to buy at $40 a share, that's up to you. We're not going to do that. So prices below EMAs, you have the RSI and the MACD looking kind of somewhat bearish, although it's not really confirmed yet till we get below the break-even levels. So if you got in from the current price to the resistance, you'd be looking anywhere from about 65% to 84%. If you manage to get your price somewhere down into this zone, roughly about 100% to as much as about 121%. So notice that this move, although it is huge, is still smaller than HUD 8, BTBT, and CIFR would be. Again, that relates to the market cap or the size of the market capitalization of the underlying stock. So here's Mara. I would say Mara probably is the most bullish looking one. We're above break even on both indicators here. Although we had a death cross on the RSI, it's not playing out yet in price. But we had a rejection off this resistance very clearly, as you guys can see. Now we're bouncing off the EMAs, so I would say that Mara is still bullish unless we get below the EMAs. If you chose to buy here, you could potentially be taking a look at as much as, 62% to possibly as high as the local high of roughly about 70%. That's still pretty good. So that means if you invest $1,000 right now, which I'm not suggesting to do, not financial advice, you could potentially make $700 on your money. But do understand this thing could dump all the way back down here or here, so it is a risk. We don't usually use stop losses when we swing trade, but that's just us. We've been doing this for a while, so not really too concerned about using the stop loss. But most people that swing trade, they do use stop losses. So anyways, if you manage to get your average price down here in this support zone, you'd get anywhere from 200% to About 220%. So whether you choose to wait or not, or just DCA down and you think that it's going to go lower, or buy all in now because you think it's going to go higher, that's completely and entirely up to you guys. So we had a request to cover BITF. Really don't know a lot about this, but we're going to go ahead and cover it anyways. So this current zone right here looks like it has, at least as of right now, flipped resistance into support. So we're going to go based off that. So your macro support is between 37 cents to about 88 cents. Your current support, $2 to about $2.33 a share, and the resistance is $3 to roughly about $3.58 per share. So if you got in now, held to resistance, about 28% gain, and a 53% gain all the way at the top. Now we'll take a look at the macros here and see just how much of an upside you could have. So the current price is about $2.30 a share. And if we take a look at the previous peaks, you can see it's somewhere around this $9 to $10 range. So you could be long term, unless this goes higher than these peaks. I would say at a minimum, this thing could do a 3 to 4x. Obviously, Bitcoin has always made higher highs in every bull cycle. So maybe a 5 to 6x from the current price. It's really hard to say. We'll just have to wait and see what Bitcoin itself does. But assuming that Bitcoin goes to new highs, which it probably is going to, then I would say that all of these minor stocks will also go to new highs. As to where it goes or where the top is, that's impossible to say. When it goes into price discovery, it's very difficult to know because when you're in price discovery, you can't really trade these things until you find patterns like price patterns and support and resistance, trend lines, things like that. If it's just going straight up, it's impossible to know where the top is. So if you manage to get it in this support box down here, you'd be looking at potentially anywhere from 434%, which is pretty insane, to 523%. I mean, damn, we might have to actually pick some of this up. So now we're going to go over the last one, which is Coinbase. Coinbase still looking very bullish, although this MACD death cross all the way up here, way above the zero line, I would say is a little bit concerning, but nothing has played out definitively yet. It is still above the EMAs until we get it below the EMAs. There's no confirmation there. Plus, we also have this resistance turn support sitting right at the EMAs as a support zone. So I don't think Coinbase is going to be going lower than $105 a share, in my opinion. That's just my opinion, of course. But as of right now, I would still say it's pretty bullish. I mean, it bounced off of the blue EMA, which the yellow and the blue EMA is usually what we use to indicate whether this thing has an immediate reversal or sell-off. So it looks good so far. We could be heading back up into this resistance zone here shortly. So if you got in now on Coinbase and you held to resistance, 14.5% is what you would make at the bottom. And then at the very top, about 43%. That's still pretty good. But notice that, obviously Coinbase is much larger market cap than Mara and RIOT, and especially these four right here. So the move is going to be quite a bit smaller, which means if you want a bigger percentage gain, you're going to have to get in at a lower price. So if you got it in the support zone, you'd be looking at roughly about 36% to 60%. I would still say that's pretty good. That's the equivalent to as much as 4 swing trades for us. But yeah, I mean, a lot of buying opportunity here. If we take a look at our portfolio real quick, you guys can see that we are actually still buying. We've recently been buying HUD 8. We want to get loaded up on that. If price keeps dipping on these two, we might buy more of those as well. We'll just have to wait and see. But we also want to buy Grayscale trusts and the actual native cryptos too. So we're not putting all of our eggs in one basket because we're just not really sure what's going to happen with the Fed yet. So anyways, yeah, this is the Bitcoin miner stocks. A lot of buying opportunities. How much of and where you guys choose to load up and stuff, that's up to you. We've given you the buy and sell zones. So hope you all enjoyed this content. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see y'all later. Peace.